Welcome back. Well, looks like the FBI has done their little yearly report, guys, and despite living in the land of the free with liberty and justice for all, we still arrest somebody every 48 seconds for a marijuana crime. It's just unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. I mean, it's like this is the second year in a row we've seen an increase, even though every year after this is 2 years in a row after. The first year was 2016. We've seen the 653,000 people, and then 2017 659,700 people. These are the 2 years that in 2016 we knew it was going to happen. Everybody knew that all those states were going to legalize marijuana on their ballots. And then in 2017, that was the first year after that where people were actually rolling out their legalization platforms and starting legalized sales and stuff. So I guess, I call it carpet bombing. It's a age old policy that seems to be what Republicans like to do a lot. When they don't look like they're going to win or they're losing, they just blow it all up. Kind of like Vietnam. Well, what else is going on with this story? Not much. But the big driver of the arrests are possession. Once again, and this is just under 90% of all these marijuana arrests, 599,000 out of 500. The possession number was 587, so about 12,000 less than the total number. So meanwhile, the manufacturing and sales busts actually dropped a good number, like almost 6,000, over 5,000 anyway in 2017. So this is all despite the fact that we've seen additional 4 states legalize marijuana in 2016 in November. This is while among all those states, legal recreational sales were only in effect in Nevada by the end of 2017. The prohibition on possession for adults was lifted soon after the successful votes there, as well as in California, Maine, and Massachusetts. Basically, as soon as November, the election, boom, we legalized it. The next day, you were okay for possession in those states, right? But someone said in a comment somewhere, I noticed, you just, if they set a date somewhere and the federal government was like, okay, on like Canada's got October 17th, you're going to see arrests on October 16th. Same with America. If they say, oh, we're going to legalize marijuana on January 16th, 2020, well, the arrests would go, leading up to it, they would keep going up and up, and they would keep ratcheting up until that day right before the legalization. And then that day, of course, that would be the most arrests of all time. And that's what this is. It's like they feel like they're losing some thing that they had that they could use to, make money off the public at large. And I mean that's the nicest way of putting what they look like they're losing. If you're talking about the police, they feel like they're losing their ability to treat minorities like dogs, basically. They feel like they lose their ability to do asset forfeiture and basically take all your shit with no reason. And just the way cops act and treat people that after they find marijuana on them, it could be anything from just they become way more dicky to straight up start beating you up or even shoot you like Philando Castile. That's what we've seen. Thanks to people having cameras and phone cameras, we've witnessed how cops behave once they see marijuana is involved in the situation, and it's never pretty. And that's what they don't want to lose. So we have some quotes. This is quote, at a time when more than 100 deaths per day are caused by the opioid overdoses It is foolish to focus our limited law enforcement resources on a drug that has caused literally zero. That's Don Murphy, Federal Policies Director for the Marijuana Policy Project. Quote, actions by law enforcement run counter to both public support and basic morality, added Normal Political Director Jason Streckel. Quote, in a day and age where 20% of the population lives in states which have legalized and nearly every state has some legal protections for medical cannabis or its extract, the time for lawmakers to end this senseless and cruel prohibition that ruins lives. Overall, marijuana arrests made up 40.4% of the nation's 1,632,921 drug arrests in 2017. Drug arrests as a whole was also increasing last year, up from 1,572,579 in 2016. So that was like a 500,000 point increase in overall drug arrests. And I mean, you can blame that directly on this new Trump administration and their kind of rolling back the drug war to some kind of 1980s sounding shit. I mean, that's what they want. And therefore, you know, it's kind of like a marching call to the police out there all the way down to the local cops. You know, yeah, hey, you got the new boss is back in town. And the new boss says, make those arrests. The new boss says, we got room in jail for those guys. We got time to go to court for that. But anyway, that equates to now there being a drug bust or arrest. I don't know if I would qualify it. I mean, you might as well call it a bust. But overall, I think what you're really looking at is tickets. But whenever someone gets a ticket for some kind of a drug charge, it's not just, yeah, here's your ticket, see you in court. It's, yeah, let's go downtown, book you in, put you in the drunk tank. You might spend a few days in there. You might have to wait until your trial or bail out, see a judge. Oh, yeah, your car got impounded too. So you're going to have to go get that. And it's a weekend. You're going to have to pay extra. I mean, we've all been there, right? We know how this stuff happens and goes. And, you know, this hasn't been sensationalized in the mainstream media, this whole report by the FBI. Maybe they will. This is still the first day that the report had came out and people were talking about it in the marijuana circuit. So I do have some other people talking about it in the marijuana circuit. But the mainstream media last year when this report came out, they had this way to sensationalize it with a headline that read, you know, there were more marijuana arrests than all violent crimes put together. And, you know, that was a pretty sensational way to put it out there. Where are they at this time? I guess they felt like they did it last year, so they don't have to do it anymore. That's why they're garbage, guys. That's why I'm doing this channel. That's why, you know, people like Tom Angel and people over at, you know, other marijuana publications or people that write about marijuana, and mostly a positive light like Reason. You got people like Ganjapreneur that are just strictly about weed, like Tom Angel's other enterprise. Besides writing for Forbes, he also has his own thing called Marijuana Moment. So over at Normal, we have Paul Armentano, of course, wrote about this today. So he's talking about the total there of marijuana arrests, which again is 659,700. That's more than 21% higher than the total number of persons arrested for the commission of violent crimes in 2017. Which was 518,617. So thanks again for pointing that out, Mr. Armentano. And maybe AP and Reuters and CNN and USA Today and all, you know, New York Times and Washington Post. Maybe all those guys will come around. NBC, CBS, Fox News, maybe they'll come around and do another one of those sensationalized headlines. This is the headline. There were 21% more marijuana arrests than all violent crimes in 2017. How about that for a headline? Does that sound good? Is that going to sell some newspapers? Washington Post? All right, anyway, of those arrested for marijuana crimes, just under 91%. were arrested for marijuana possession offenses. I just want to keep emphasizing that point too. I know we've already said that. Over at Reason, Scott Shackford wrote a quick piece about this, and in that he brought something to my attention I didn't even realize. But so there's a new documentary series on Netflix. You can check it out if you want, and it's mostly, it'll show you some of the weird things that you didn't know about the drug war. So it's called First and Last, and it's a 6-part series that follows people's first and last days in custody at the Gwinnett County Jail in Georgia. And I know if you watch this channel, you've heard that name. I know I remember it. The people arrested and put in jail for weeks and even months are frequently there for drug possession and use without any sort of additional criminal activity. In fact, one young man in the show spends 30 days in lockup for violating a probation on a marijuana possession crime, with the second arrest for marijuana possession. And that's it. That's all he did. Speaking of the ganjapreneur, I'm going to leave you with this thought. So meanwhile, more and more Americans lean in favor of federally legalizing cannabis, with the latest poll data suggesting that 60% of voters support cannabis law reforms. In fact, cannabis legalization as an issue was more popular with voters than either presidential candidate during the 2016 elections. Recently, Reps David Joyce, a Republican from Ohio, and Earl Blumenauer, Democrat from Oregon, said they expect the bill that will ultimately legalize cannabis nationwide will be introduced in Congress next year. Very interesting. Furthermore, how much longer is it going to take? All right? And I hate to tell you guys that hate Trump so much, but he's going to be the president that's sitting behind that desk and he signs that paper. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to give him credit for legalizing marijuana in America. Just like Trudeau got the credit in Canada. This isn't really they're not the ones that did this, all right? But that's how it works. The person that's sitting behind that desk is the one that gets the credit. We all know that. Every time the gas prices are too high, you're not like, damn it, the international geopolitical thing and OPEC and all the reasons that actually are why gas prices move. Damn it, Trump, why is the gas so high? Or damn it, Obama. That's not the case. There's not a fucking button on their desk that they can push to do certain things, but they get the credit for it. So that's what's going on. I don't know if it's going to happen next year. That's a little optimistic there, guys. We still have to iron out these shitbaggers that are in Congress, basically pigeonholing anything that even comes up for a vote, or before it even can come up for a vote, like shooting it and killing it in the committees. And it's just, we're ready for a change, guys. And these arrests are the one thing we are going for, is to get rid of those. That's what the legalization is for. Not more arrests. Like in Michigan, since we've legalized medical marijuana, we've had more arrests. We want no arrests. We don't want anybody arrested for marijuana, period. I don't care if they were growing 100 plants or 1,000. Figure out something else to do to punish them or to make them not do what you don't want them to do. Just no more arrests. All right. Peace out, guys.